Is he now? We get to talk to him yesterday. Kind of, what do you see out of him right now in this play?
Yeah, I see a guy that's trying to play his best football of his career. Even though he's an older guy, through the litany of things over his career, he hadn't played a lot of football. I mean, he's played, but he hasn't played the amount of football that would equate to his age. And so I see a guy that is committed to playing his best ball that he could possibly play for the Illini here, and he's really committed to that, and I've noticed that.
When you see an FCS team beat a Big Ten team, does that provide a little bit of extra teaching tool, I guess, for your locker room?
Well, I mean, the bottom line is you get 12 of these, right, and 12 guaranteed, and you work all year round for them, and whether it's whoever it is that you're playing, there's something wrong if you don't get up and get ready and get focused to play. And we have a great deal of respect for Chattanooga, the way they play defensively in particular. They are very well coached and very in tune to their scheme. They got good players, and so. But our focus has been really good, and I think they all understand that any given Saturday, it's fair game across the country. I think that's just becoming more and more common, just not just within divisions, but just the way college football is. Any given Saturday, you don't know what's going to happen, so you better bring your best each Saturday, and we certainly want to do that on this Thursday.
What stands out to you about Chattanooga
Well,
defensively?
yeah, I think just they're confident in their scheme, and they're very they play fast within their scheme. They just understand what they're doing, and they're confident. And usually when that happens, when you contribute good players and you add a recipe of good players there, you got a good defense, and that's what I see.
They got some guys up front. I mean, usually FCS teams maybe can't match up, but what do you see up front from them?
I see a really good front. I see twitchy ends and then powerful interior players. I see guys that belong in college football, that's for sure, and probably at any level to a large degree. I mean, they got talent and they play hard, so it'll be from that perspective, up front, that's a big emphasis for the matchup going into the game. It's like we got to be able to match and exceed the intensity that they play with.
How have you seen your offensive line gel through 3 games, since that's a fully new group mostly?
It is a new group, and they're coming along. They're coming along, and the continuity is important, communication is important, and so each week that we can play with the unit intact, we're just going to continue to get better and better.
What's the biggest thing you felt like you guys were able to do during the bye week, in your eyes?
Well, I think we, to kind of sit back and reflect on, what we've done well, what we need to improve on, and make a big emphasis on the areas that we need to improve on, and get our guys' bodies and minds healthy. I think they were, moving around pretty well today at practice, and I think they're fresh and focused on what's coming up on Thursday.
What are those biggest things you feel like that you needed to work on, Barry?
Well, I mean, obviously the ball security, and that's a big one, and controlling us. That's the deal, is doing your job inside of the scheme, and there's no magic formula to that. You just got to do it, and talking about it doesn't do it, doesn't work either. You got to go out and do it, and the only way to do it on a game day is to do it through the course of practice. And so, as we continue to get comfortable going in Game 4 together, as a staff, as an offense, and we need to see the signs of improvement and trending towards that, and we're hopefully to be able to put that together on Thursday.
Isaiah said yesterday he can definitely feel fresher because of the rest. Can you see it in practice, fresh legs because of extra rest?
Yeah, I think so. I think our guys have played fast on game days, and so I think Coach has done a great job of taking care of them, and that's always, I'm sure, obviously I've never been a head coach, but I'm sure that's one of the great challenges of head coach, is knowing when to push and when to pull back. And I think Coach has got a great feel for that and where our guys need to go. You still got to practice and get better. The only way you can get better at practice is practicing, but also you can get better taking mental reps too. And so we try to do a blend of those, and I think our guys are in a good spot.
Barry, what do you mean for the off week, the development week for guys like Donovan, Larry, Kirkland, to get those reps in your offense?
It's great. It's great for them. You can get rusty in a hurry.
Yeah.
You'd be away from it for 3 or 4 weeks. Which has been since we've started really transitioning to preparing for an opponent in Wyoming. And then those young guys being a look squad representative, you don't get a lot of in our offense. So it was great work for not just the quarterbacks, but every position across our football team.
What have you seen out of those 2 guys so far in just your limited time with them?
I see flashes of really good football, and I see inconsistency that you would expect from a young player, and see a willingness to learn and grow, competitiveness, and both have their unique skill set that I think make them both, going to be quality quarterbacks at this level.
Coach, you were on the other end of a similar game last year. What's it like for an underdog team coming into a Big Ten stadium? Is there some extra juice?
Well, I think to the point I said earlier, I mean, I would assume there probably is. You know, I mean, these guys, this is their one, Power 5 game, I believe, on their schedule this year. They had one last year at Kentucky, and they certainly, you could see the way they played in that game. I didn't see any difference in the way they played in that game than others last year on film, but they certainly gave Kentucky a very strong test and game, and were in it for the majority, the length of the game, and was very impressed with the way they played against Kentucky last year at Kentucky. So, and a lot of them are back, so they've got experience in that environment, and we'll have a similar environment. And so I think that we can certainly expect their best, whatever that looks like. We certainly would expect their best shot on Thursday.
When you self-scouted yourself this week, do you see plays down the field that could be made later on in the year when you guys get more chemistry and consistency with each other?
Yeah, I see plays at various areas of the field, that are available, that are out there, that either it's through a play call or a recognition or a read by the quarterback. There's a lot of various contributing factors there. But when we go back and look, the main thing that I've seen in our self-scout over the first 3 weeks is that we need to control about Illinois football and control who we are and what we are. And if we execute to our standard, then the results have been pretty good. And when I, as the coach, don't put them in a great position and we don't execute the way we're capable of, then I think that's where you see some of the inconsistencies. And obviously there's some schemes that you would like to have back and some schemes you can tweak, and that's our job to look at those and reflect on those. And so, obviously the putting the ball down the field is something that is in our offense. It generally happens kind of organically within the flow of the offense, and something that we certainly know we need to be able to do to be an effective offense.
Coach, with the tight ends, are you kind of where you thought you would be going into the year in terms of performance and just how you're using them?
Yeah, I think so. I think what we saw from practice, what I saw from spring practice and fall camp has shown up on the field. I think you got 3 guys that are playing right now that have deemed themselves reliable and tough and competitive and can catch the ball and be factors in the passing game, and just I think they're good, steady guys that hopefully we'll continue to use. And just kind of happened that it popped last week, and who knows how to play out this week.
You've done well with that position during the course of your career. Is it more do you just think that's a great position to use, or how'd that work out like that?
Well, I mean, I had never coached them before, and when Brett hired me, and so that really opened my eyes up to, even when I was a young coordinator back in, I'd come from maybe more of a pro style background. We used tight ends quite a bit when I was at San Jose State. We were a Big 12 personnel team, and then working for Brett at Arkansas, we had an incredible run there that, I was just thankful to be a part of. That I don't know how much I had to do with the, Hunter Henry's genetics, but that really opened my eyes up to how important those guys are offensively, and that's something that I've always kind of kept. But always liked them, and then when I was with him at Arkansas and we had that success, how unique they are and how they can impact the game, that's something that really strengthened my belief in that, and it's something I've always tried to hold on to.
And once you develop a reputation for that as a school, doesn't that kind of self-fulfill? Like Iowa's done that for years.
Sure it does. Yeah, there's a handful of teams out there that have got a strong history, and that's something that that if you look at Coach Bielema and myself, the guys that we've been around that have gone on to do good things or have had really good careers and even gone on to play in the NFL. Coach can go neck to neck with anybody. I mean, he can go. His history there at that position is really strong. It's something that we want to continue to embrace here and build upon and continue to recruit to.
What are some things that Tommy DeVito has done well, and then what are some things this week that you emphasized for improvement?
Yeah, I think Tommy's just getting more and more comfortable in what we're doing, and I'm starting to understand him more and more. There's just nothing like going through it together, going through the fire together. It's probably like the difference between being engaged and married. I mean, once you get married, you figure you really go through the fire with your with your partner, and so Tommy and I, we got to know each other during spring and fall camp, and then when we became the starter, now we've gone through games. We're starting to see how that unfolds and learning each other about what I expect and how he sees it and what he sees during the game. I've been really impressed with what he does see. He's got a good feel of what he sees. He's got really good answers for what he does and why he does them. That's always a really good sign of your quarterback, that he understands. And see, before you correct him, he's like, yeah, I saw that, coach. He's going to make mistakes, but so that part has been really good, like to understand he sees the game very well. I would say that he has got a really good feel for the game. And then, it's just like anybody else. He's a microcosm of our offense, just consistency from the first play of the game to the last play of the game. And that speaks for all of us, but that's something that we're really trying to work and emphasize.
Yeah, Coach Bielma, let's talk about how the schedule's set up with 3 games, then we buy 4, another buy 5 to finish. Is that maybe the ideal arrangement?
I tell you what, it's pretty good. I didn't think much about it when I saw it, when Coach laid it out. I know he puts a lot of time and effort into that and the thinking and planning, and he's been talking to our guys about it since I got here. About here's how the schedule's going to look. You're going to have this, you're going to have this segment and this, and I think it was brilliantly done and worked out to our favor in regards to our preparation and our time that we can spend to get our guys some rest, and then we can reflect on where we're at after 3 games, and then get ready for this stretch run starting with Thursday night. So I think it's been a really good thing for us.
I mean, is there an advantage where you can maybe just attack segments of the season?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you look at a 3-game season. Now we've got a 4-game season, I believe, coming up. Is that right? Yeah, 4. And obviously we're going to take it one day at a time, one game at a time, one opponent at a time, I should say. But sure, to have it broken up like that, I think that's a real positive thing.
When you look at your stats, are you happy with the balance with the offense?
Oh, I don't put too much into the stats, part of it. I really don't. I mean, ultimately our job is to score. That's the most telling stat, is are we scoring enough to win? And right now we've done that 2 of the three games. Has it been what we wanted? No, it hasn't. Is there more out there? We've left some, sure. But from a statistical standpoint, I think, not to shoot down your question, but I mean, obviously we are wanting to be balanced, right? And I think if you look at that, then probably we're achieving that to some degree, with as far as the production and the yardage, the number of attempts and all that stuff. I think that's just kind of how we operate, that we're trying to, and it's going to be skewed different games, I think last week it was a little bit more, I think what it was like 45 run and maybe 25 pass or something, the way the game unfolded. That's just a ballpark estimate, but we have been able to do both at times. We've got to weave it together to where we can run and pass throughout the course of the game from start to finish to put together a complete game.
You were pretty clear last week about your desire to use the bye week to get better.
Yeah.
What do you guys feel like you did to maybe reach some of that goal you had?
Well, our guys worked. That's the way you get better, is you work, and both mentally and physically. There's been work done, and there hasn't been like a real specific, other than the emphasis of the ball security, which is a huge one. There hasn't been a real, mud puddle that we're trying to stomp out. Like we got to get things fixed here, small components at a time. Just a little detail here, a little technical, technique here, a decision here, or maybe a scheme here. So it's all those things combined. The most obvious and clearest obvious thing for us has been to address the ball security issues, because we just can't turn the ball over like that and be a functional offense.
How do you address that? Is it drills again? I know
Yeah,
you
it's
guys
drills.
do it.
Yeah, it's drills. It's talk. It's showing. It's making a point of emphasis, and I'm confident that that our guys, our players in a healthy culture like we have here will give you what you emphasize, and I think we've kind of cranked up our, as far as our awareness and our emphasis on that area. And our guys have responded to that. Now we got to go do it in a game. It'll be a challenge, and it always is. Every game, it's a physical game, and taking care of the ball and throwing it to the right people, that's all a critical part of it. And but we're not going to play scared. We're not going to let that affect the way we want to be aggressive and play. And we just have to have a higher sense of awareness of, like, when you got it, you got to protect it.
To dovetail off of Bob's tight end stuff, what did you think you had with Marquez going preseason camp?
Well, Coach, I think I saw that Coach had said, like, you're going to really like him. I didn't get a sense to see him in the spring, but I know Coach knows, and I mean, he'd said that several years ago about AJ Derby, who was with us at Arkansas. He was a quarterback, and he moved to tight end and said, you're going to really like him. And I was kind of like, oh, okay. And then he was right, So he had some street cred with me when it came to that a little bit. I've been through that before. But he obviously had seen Mike and what Mike had brought to the table last year, and good things happened when Mike was involved, and that's continued to be true for us this fall. And I've been really pleased with what he's brought to the table.
I guess with the new center and Phil Strom, what have you kind of seen from over the first 3 weeks into the self-scout?
Growth. I've seen growth from him. I've seen, better communication between week 1, 2, and 3. There's a lot on a center in football in general, and then particular in this offense. Not that it's anything different than most offenses, but when you're snapping the ball like that every down and you're making calls and all that, there's a lot on you. And so I've seen maturity and growth in that area for him. I've seen him plateau a little bit, not in a bad way, but like level off and be the pill that we think he can be, and be real steady.
Even after the bye week, Chase Brown still leads the NCAA in rushing. How much of a freak is he, and how do you manage his workload?
Well, that's something we're trying to pay attention to, is the workload, and trying to make sure he doesn't get overworked. We did a better job of that last week against Virginia, and we're able to, obviously with the lead, we were able to maybe not use him as much in the whole game, which was great for him. Just a really gifted runner that when we block people and we target people the right way and we cover them up, that he's bound to make something happen. It's good to have him on our team, and we got to continue. That's through 3 weeks. We're certainly not going to rest on that. We got to continue to get better in the running game, and I know he knows that. But we're excited that he's off to a good start.
Not to give away the scouting report or anything, but is our UTC a team that's going to show you different fronts, and how's that affect your pass pro?
Yeah, not as much. They're not super multiple on their fronts. They're multiple in the way they play coverage and their blitz patterns. So just a really solid defense that will challenge us regardless of what the front structure is and the way they rush the passer. They like to get after the passer, and they do a good job against the run. They're an impressive outfit.